Hi, it's Miss Rainey, and I am back again with another sixth grade English lesson. It is now Thursday, day 4, and we have been working on organizational patterns this week. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All you will need today is a notebook, loose leaf paper, and a pencil. You go ahead and gather your materials as I share my screen with you. Alrighty. Again, it is sixth grade English, Organizational Patterns, day 4. All right. So before we jump in, I want to review from the past 3 days. So, again, organizational patterns refer to the way authors organize their writing. Authors organize their writing based on the reason or purpose for writing. This means that the pattern can shift throughout a text. So you could go from compare and contrast to cause and effect or problem and solution, all within one text. We learned that there are several types of organizational patterns. These include sequential or sometimes chronological order, compare and contrast, cause and effect, and problem and solution. Authors provide readers with clues or signal words that help them to identify the organizational pattern much easier. All right, so let's go ahead and go over our objectives for this week one more time. Our objectives were to describe cause and effect relationships and their impact on plot, and also to identify the author's organizational patterns. The past 3 days, we have focused on organizational patterns. But today and tomorrow, we are going to focus specifically on cause and effect. So today's learning target is I will describe cause and effect relationships and their impact on plot. So let's go ahead and start learning. So, why learn about cause and effect relationships? To understand cause and effect, we must first look at the events that occur. A couple of weeks ago, in a lesson, you learned about plot. Now, the plot of a story is the sequence of events that happen in a story. We can usually look at the order of events or the plot to understand the cause and effect. Cause and, cause and effect relationships drive the plot. If this occurs, then this will happen, and it is like a domino effect. So, what is cause and effect? Well, the cause is why something happened. It's the first thing that usually happens, and it usually answers the question why. Effect is the result of what happened, and it's usually the second thing, and it answers the question what happened. All right, let's take a look at these two images. On the left hand side, there's the cause. On the right hand side, there's the effect. Take a moment to think of a caption for each one. All right, let's take a look. So, on the left hand side is a picture of a sunny day. So, we can write it. If it is a sunny and beautiful day, on the right, there is a picture of a family at the beach. We can write, then people will visit the beach. So, people visiting the beach is an effect of it being a sunny day. It being a sunny day is a cause for people visiting the beach. All right, so now we're going to practice a little bit. I want you to follow along as I read this passage aloud to you. A trip to the mall. Joseph and Mara could not wait for the weekend. They had been promised by their mother that if they did their chores and homework all week, they could spend the entire day Saturday at the mall. Friday night, they called their best friends to be sure they would be at the mall on Saturday. They gathered their allowances that they had saved for a month and stuffed the money in their shoes. What better place to hide money? However, late Friday night, Sammy, the neighborhood rat, snuck into their house and stole their shoes. They left cookie crumbs in them as well as their money. Then, Saturday morning, their mother's car would not start. Finally, they caught the bus and arrived at the mall late and broke. They searched the entire mall, but none of their friends were there. When Joseph and Mara had not showed up on time, their friends had gone to a baseball game. On the way to the game, they found some old shoes filled with money, enough to buy treats for themselves and some new friends they met at the game. All right, let's practice based on the passage that we just read. I want you to look at this chart. Go ahead and copy this chart down into either your notebook or on your loose leaf paper. I'll give you a minute to copy it. Once you've copied it, let's go ahead and write down a cause and effect scenario based on what we read. Think about what happened in the story. What caused Joseph and Mara to be late to the mall? If you wrote under cause that their mother's car would not work, then that would be correct. So under cause, you would write their mother's car would not work. Under effect, you would write they were late to the mall. If you wanted to do another example, you could have placed doing their chores and homework as a cause and staying at the mall all day on Saturday as an effect. If they did their chores, then they could go to the mall. If you were unable to think of any examples, go ahead and copy the examples that I've placed in the chart. All right, we're going to practice a little bit more with a few multiple choice questions based on the passage. If you would like, you can go ahead and access the passage at any time. You can revisit the passage at any time to assist you with answering these questions. On your paper, number your paper from 1 to 3. As you read the questions and the options for the answers, put the best choice, put the letter of the best choice as the answer for each one. Number 1 says, what caused Joseph and Mara to be late getting to the mall? So we are looking for the cause. Look at the options and write down the best answer. Number 2, why did their friends go to the baseball game? Look at your options now and write down the best answer. Number three, why were Joseph and Mara able to go to the mall? If you are complete, that's awesome. Tomorrow we will revisit with the correct answers. Remember, the cause always answers the question why. Now, I also want to make sure that you guys are aware that for every cause, there are multiple effects. For instance, I want you to think about a tornado touching down. If a tornado touched down, there could be multiple effects from that happening. I want you to think for a minute and write down three possible effects of a tornado touching down. Go ahead and do that right now. A few examples of effects that could happen as a result of a tornado touching down could possibly be loss of life, injuries, and possibly damage to buildings and property. All right, let's go ahead and recap. Cause and effect relationships help to drive the plot. The cause answers the question why, and the effect is what happened after or as a result. For every cause, there are multiple effects. All right, now the last thing that I want you to do is to reflect. Think of something that has happened to you recently. Do you remember what the cause was? Write a statement explaining the cause and its effect. For instance, you could write something like, school was recently closed due to a pandemic. So the pandemic is the cause, school closing is the effect. All right, that is the end of our lesson for today. We will be back tomorrow to practice a little bit more with cause and effect and to wrap up the week. Thank you for joining me.